Good to start, Steve.
Okay, pronounced good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending the webinar this afternoon, and welcome to the IIRSM Wales branch. We've got a presentation coming up from Matt Humby. I introduce Matt in a second. Just waiting for the last people to dial into the meeting. There will be a question and answer session during this session. So you'll see a Q&A at the bottom of your screen if you wiggle your mouse, and you can type in any questions into the webinar chat, and which I'll read out at the end of the presentation for Matt to answer then. So just bringing on to Matt. Matt Humby is a senior technical consultant for Fire Chief Global. Matt has more than 25 years experience in the fire industry and has worked with leading extinguisher manufacturers to help them gain full EN3 approval and fire ratings under EN3 for their products, working in conjunction with LPCB and Lloyd's Register. He has run his own fire safety business, providing all types of fire and safety products to the UK and Europe. He now provides advice and solutions to help mitigate the fire risk with fire safety products for both commercial and residential building projects, and has a particular interest in the risks, causes and effects of lithium battery fires. So hope you enjoy the presentation, and like I said, any questions, pop them in the web chat throughout the presentation and we'll discuss them at the end of the session. So over to you, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. I really do appreciate your time for coming on. I'm going to take you on a journey. I love to take people on a journey on my presentations. Hopefully, at the end of it, you'll be a little bit more educated and informed about the risks of lithium-ion batteries. And I really want you to have take two things away. A mindset change on how you view, treat, use and recycle lithium-ion batteries. But also, if you want to mitigate against the risk, you need to follow a process. I'm going to share with you a very simple process indeed. And hopefully at the end of it, like I said, you'll be a bit more wiser. Very quick video. The recycling sector are having huge problems. This is self-explanatory. Please make sure we're not throwing away lithium-ion battery devices in the general waste. So please, never bin your batteries. We're really trying to help that sector because we know that they're suffering from batteries being thrown away, especially vapes, 8 million a week, crazy. This is a level 1 and level 2 CPD. We've mixed it up. It's about the burning issues surrounding lithium-ion battery fires. And I want to share with you some key data here. And this data is already sort of out of date, and we only did this a few months ago. But just read some of the key data on this short video. Now, there's some key data there. Now, let's just remember the biggest cause of domestic fires in the UK is from cooking. If we get to a point where the biggest cause of domestic fires is from lithium-ion battery devices, we have a problem. We're not there yet, but we just need to be mindful. It's always good to give objectives. Always really like to call them little gifts of knowledge whenever you're giving a presentation. And that's why we've put a big gift there, because this is our gift of knowledge we want to share with you. I've got 6 key gifts of knowledge. We're going to just briefly look at the impact of lithium-ion batteries and net zero. We're going to explore the risks of lithium-ion batteries. We're going to briefly look at thermal runaway. Some of you will know that anyway. Got some great videos. We've got the 10-step fire chief plan and a brief introduction about our Anytime program. So they're the 6 key gifts of knowledge. Very briefly, I work for Fire Chief Global. We are a fire safety business. We're head office based in Oakham, and our distribution centre is in Birmingham. I'm actually coming from you live today from home in South Norfolk, and we stock over 2,000 fire safety products within our distribution centre. So everything from fire hoses to fire blankets, you name it, we've got it. So, quick compilation video. Watch this video. Now, I will just stress that some of these videos are a little bit graphic. So if you're of a softer disposition, please just note we've got a little bit graphic videos. So I just want to make you aware of that. Every single fire in this video was started by a lithium battery or a lithium-ion battery, and the consequences of when we throw batteries away. Watch this. Now, some real shocking videos of lithium-ion batteries. Now, these are rare occurrences, but we just need that mindset change, and hopefully that compilation video will give you an example of that mindset change I want you to have. You've already been introduced to me, so I won't dwell on that, but I do want to thank you, because the most valuable thing someone can give another human person is their time. Thank you so much for giving me your time this afternoon. Very briefly, we're going to look at net zero and lithium-ion batteries, because a lot of people forget that they're connected, because they are connected. So net zero, in very simple terms, refers to the amount of greenhouse gases that's emitted into the atmosphere against the amount that can be removed. Now, this can be achieved through a combination of emission reduction and emission removal. Lithium-ion batteries are going to play a huge part in helping us become net zero by 2050. The world needs to become net zero by 2050, as per the UN statement. So they are really playing their part to help us become net zero. Transportation, battery energy storage systems, charging stations. So they are playing their part. And I'm not talking about the mining of them, because that's a whole new subject, but they're really playing their part. And look, I am not anti-lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries are amazing products. When you think about it, they've changed the way we live. They've changed the way we work. They've changed our lives 100%. Probably like you, I love my gadgets, my Bluetooth speakers, my little earpods when I'm taking the dogs for a walk. Don't get me started on my Shark Hoover. Absolutely love it. Obsessed with hoovering. They are amazing products. In general, they're very, very safe, so the risk is low. But as I said, we do need that mindset change on how you're charging them, how you're treating them, and how you're using them. Most of them will have battery management systems built in to keep them safe. But even with those systems built in, we have seen fires from lithium-ion batteries, but we're certainly not anti-lithium-ion battery. We're going to go back to the 1980s. Now, I can't see any of you, so unfortunately you can see me, but you know, I remember the 1980s, and I'm assuming you're all far too young to remember the 80s. So you basically missed out. It was a great decade for music, for fashion, for technology. Look, there's the classic suitcase phone from the 1980s. If you ever want to watch a classic film, Danny Glover, the detective, used that in Lethal Weapon 1, I think. A brilliant device. It had one of the early commercial lithium-ion batteries in it. It would have weighed 3 kilos in weight. It would have taken you about 10 or 11 hours to fully recharge. And it would have given you about 40 minutes talk time. So when Danny Glover used it, he must have had about 5 because he was on his phone constantly. Now, I love the image, and we've got to thank people like Sir Stanley Michael Whittingham and John Goodenough, chemists in the 70s, who were really the forefathers of commercial lithium-ion batteries. That image represents a couple of things, just how far technology has come, but just look how far lithium-ion batteries have come. Smaller, lighter, and more powerful. And they are just continuing to go that way because we as consumers are driving that. The pluses of a lithium-ion battery, capable of storing a large amount of energy in a very small space. They're very lightweight, hence you can carry your mobile phone and laptop around. So they're the pluses. The minus, if the energy of them comes out in a way that can't be controlled, it will result in a fire and an explosion or just off-gassing sometimes. And that can be violent. You've already seen some videos. We're going to show you some more videos. And not all lithium-ion batteries are the same. There are actually 6 common types of lithium-ion batteries: LFP, lithium iron phosphate, NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt, LMO, lithium manganese oxides, to name a few. So there are 6, and their names are according to their active chemistry material inside them. And each lithium-ion battery will have its benefits and shortcomings and ideal applications. However, it doesn't matter what chemistry type, apart from a solid state battery, at a certain temperature level, we have seen any of those go into thermal runaway, and some can be more violent than others. A brief lesson on lithium-ion batteries. There are 2 types: lithium battery, like a metal battery, which are single cell construction type. They're the type of batteries you can't recharge. So they're a lithium battery. Once the energy is depleted, please recycle it. A smoke alarm, 5 or 10 years. Once the energy is gone, you replace it with another lithium battery, non-rechargeable. Lithium-ion batteries are slightly different, called secondary cell construction, meaning they can be used over and over again. So they're the lithium-ion type battery. 3 images on the top. There's a pouch cell. We're talking cells here. That's the type of pouch cell and battery you'll find in a mobile phone or laptop. The middle one is a Panasonic prismatic cell. You'll find those in power tools, hedge trimmers, battery lawnmowers. And the cylindrical cells on the right, you'll commonly find those in electric vehicles. And we've got some images of that as well. Doesn't matter how big or how small they are. Boy, can they pack a punch. Just watch this small battery. Bang. Unbelievable. From a very small battery. Now, it could have been damaged, it could have had a malfunction, but we need that mindset change. So just be aware. And also, lithium-ion batteries are in battery energy storage systems and domestic battery energy storage systems if you've got solar panels. So if you're if you ever see a wind or solar farm, maybe nearby in the countryside, will be a row of containers, 20, 40-foot containers. They will contain hundreds of lithium-ion batteries storing that energy up, and then that energy will be transported to the national grid or whatever application is nearby where it's needed. These are becoming, we've got 2,500 planning applications for battery energy storage systems. Look, they are generally very safe, but they're very complex when one goes in to a fire situation, very complex for the fire rescue service to deal with. And they can be put up anywhere. So the planning regulations and more integration with the fire brigade is needed with battery energy storage systems. And when we're talking about electric vehicles, we talk maybe slightly differently. This is an image of the Cosworth battery pack from our friends, and they've allowed me to use this. And there's the cutaway image of the full battery pack. At the top, you'll see 3 modules connected together, and one of the modules, or 2 of them, have been cut away. The top image shows you just those lithium-ion cylindrical cells in that module, and that's it. So something like a Tesla or a Polestar, and I drive an EV, will have 5, 6, 7,000 cells, huge amount of energy powering that vehicle. And that's where they're all stored, and that's where they sit. But in effect, it's a computer on wheels with cylindrical lithium-ion battery cells in. And to make that even more obvious, there's the ID.3. It's a very good car from Volkswagen. There's the chassis, and that's where the whole battery pack will sit in a chassis of an electric vehicle, always there at the below, with those 6 modules either side connected together to make that battery pack. Very difficult for the fire rescue service to tackle an EV fire, because to get to the fire source, it's quite challenging and difficult because it's so low underneath that vehicle chassis. And look, here's a great image I was sent a couple of years ago. This is a few years old. Tesla S went into thermal runaway, malfunction, could have been damaged. Look, those lithium-ion battery cylindrical cells have fallen away from that battery pack in that bigger image. You can actually see them falling away. Now, I was led to believe that that was a new function, that at a certain temperature point, the lithium-ion battery cylindrical cells will just fall away to make it slightly easier maybe for the fire rescue service. But it just shows you what's in an EV, just hundreds, thousands of cylindrical lithium-ion battery cells. And they needed about 30,000 litres of water to actually get that fire under control. So why is this happening? Well, understanding a lithium-ion battery is key. And so our brilliant marketing team and our graphic designer, Sarah, came up with this image. And we love images and clean slides because I think it's much better to give people nice, clear images. So the main causes of thermal runaway, a chemical process inside a battery cell, they're the ones in green, which you can see on that image. So they're the main causes that will cause thermal runaway. The reaction you get are the ones in red, the off-venting of smoke and gas that's poisonous and toxic. You get the explosion and you get the fire. That process is very, very quick, as you've already seen in some videos, and sometimes in an enclosed space, that gas can be flammable, and we're going to see what's called a vapor cloud explosion in a video as we go through this presentation. But a nice image, and if anyone wants information on that image, we can share that with you. And we should understand that a lithium thermal runaway event from a lithium-ion battery is not the traditional fire triangle. So it's not just heat, fuel, and oxygen, which is the old-fashioned fire triangle. It's something completely different. Battery modules will burn underwater. They generate their own oxygen. So it's not a traditional fire triangle. Now, the maximum working temperature of your device with a battery management system built in, like your mobile or laptop, would be about 65 C. Beyond that temperature level, and it's not that hot really when you think about it, the battery management system will more or less fail. And that's where thermal runaway starts to happen. And at 70 C, the electrolytes inside that battery cell will start to vaporize, the cells shut down, separator breaks. We get that exothermic reaction and the thermal runaway event. And there you can see those temperature levels. So it's a completely different fire threat from the normal fire triangle. Now, I'm not a battery chemist. And like I said, we try and describe just in basic terms how a lithium-ion battery works. So this is just a cutaway image of a lithium cobalt oxide battery, one cell. And what you have on one side is your anode, which is your copper current collector. So that's the minus. And you have on the other side the cathode, and that's the plus. And in the middle, you'll have 2 very thin, flexible sleeves, the semi-permeable separator and an electrolyte, half the width of a hair, made up of solvents and nasty chemicals. So when you're using your device, the ions will move from the anode through the separator and electrolyte over to the cathode. That's what gives you your power, because it's a nice chemical loop. And when you're charging your device, the ions will move back from the cathode, back through the separator and electrolyte, back over to the anode in a nice controlled way. It's a very simple chemical process. There's no changes happen. It's a very clever, simple process. And to give you an example how that works, great video from the US Department of Energy. Here, there we go. You're using your device, and this is just one cell. And there's those ions moving over to the cathode. And then you've got your device on charge, and they just move back over in a nice controlled way. And that's what we like. And I like that video because it's a nice explanation. It's difficult to describe how a lithium battery works in an easy way, but I like that video, and I do like my videos. So that's why we share it. Now, these are some of the gases you will be exposed to from a lithium-ion battery fire, whether it's your mobile phone, your laptop, or an EV. Carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen fluoride, extremely nasty if you know your gas. In fact, none of these are nice. hydrogen chloride, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen cyanide, to name but a few, but they're the main gases. You also get hydrocarbon droplets such as ethane, methane, and butane. All mixed together. You do not want to be in an enclosed area when something like an e-scooter or an e-bike or something bigger goes into thermal runaway. That's why Transport for London banned them from their network. You don't want to be breathing them in. Even from a mobile phone, you will get maybe a litre and a half of gases. So just be mindful. When we're talking about bigger batteries, this is where it becomes a real challenge for the fire rescue service, because they're going to have to be really aware of those gases when they're tackling an electric vehicle fire. Now, hydrogen fluoride is actually a byproduct of a lithium-ion battery fire. So it's not evident in a lithium-ion battery, but it's a byproduct when a battery goes into thermal runaway. Its boiling point is actually quite low. So its boiling point is around 19.5 degrees Celsius. Below that, it's normally a liquid. Above that, it becomes a gas. Now, when hydrogen fluoride comes into contact with water or in very humid atmospheres, it actually dissolves readily to become hydrofluoric acid. Now, that's highly corrosive and capable of penetrating open skin very, very quickly indeed, and very flammable as well. So we just need to be aware. And this is where, when we talk to the fire rescue service, they really need to be aware, especially when they're tackling bigger bigger battery fires, such as electric vehicles or battery energy storage systems. But in general, hydrogen fluoride is a byproduct of the chemicals inside a battery. Let's have a look at some more battery instance fires. This is from our friends, the Fire and Rescue Service in New South Wales. It's a great video, and I do apologise if some of you have seen these videos. This is a hostel. Watch how quick this e-scooter goes into thermal runaway. Basically, no warning at all, but everyone got out safe. Now, everyone got out safe. There's just two girls coming down from the end. Now, thankfully, they weren't trapped, but just look how quick that thermal runaway event happened. And they certainly knew that that was going to happen. Here, a DIY e-motorbike or e-moped being charged in a stairwell. Excuse the language on this. He does use some swear words. Very lucky he wasn't asleep at night. Watch this. There's those popping of those lithium-ion battery cells. Unbelievable. And that's what he was charging. Wow. All those cells. And our brilliant fire and rescue service. Not a happy chap. But he was lucky. If he was asleep upstairs, you know, he's blocked his escape route. You know, it could have been a different story, but our brilliant fire and rescue service turned up. Electric vehicles. When we're talking about electric vehicles, when they go into thermal runaway, they can go into thermal runaway in different variations. And I've got a compilation video. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds, but it will give you different variations of how electric vehicles go into thermal runaway. And one of them is an electrical fault from a Tesla. But just watch this, because not everyone explodes. Slow starts, but some do explode. Watch this. Now, that just gives you some variation of how an electric vehicle can go into thermal runaway, because like I said, from very slow starts to salt water penetrating the battery module to a vapor cloud explosion at the end. And one was even just off gassing. We really need to understand and keep getting that awareness through to people like the fire brigade and keep educating ourselves. So what can be done? We thought action needed to happen. We really want to help the industry. We want to help fire risk assessors. We want to help people like you. So we basically came up with a battery halo 10-step plan. And it's based on the hierarchy of controls process. And it's a nice, simple plan to go through the proactive actions you can take to reduce, to mitigate against the risk of a lithium battery fire, and the reactive actions you can take. We're going to go through each segment very briefly, and some have got videos. The first one, educate, investigate unique attributes of the risk. The risk we're talking about here is lithium-ion batteries. Thank you for coming on board today. You're hopefully educating yourself, or I'm hopefully educating you. We've got a great hub on our website, information hub, so we can direct you there to the Fire Chief Global website. But also, the Battery University is a very good website if you want to understand and learn more about lithium-ion batteries. Why? Okay, Mercedes-Benz on charge. I apologize if anyone's got an EV Mercedes-Benz on charge at the moment. This is rare, but they're going to try and tackle it with a dry powder extinguisher. They've got no chance. No extinguisher will put an EV fire out. But bless them, they've given it a go, but it's very dangerous. Watch this. Look how that took hold right at the end. That real thermal runaway really took hold, in an underground car park. Boy, it doesn't bear thinking about. Assess, identify the scale of the risk present is the next one. Go and do an assessment. See how many batteries you've got. You may only have 2 or 3. You may have 50. You may have 300. So identify the scale of the risk present. Look at where your damaged batteries are if you've got damaged batteries in your workplace. And you need to get them out. Do you know the history of some of the batteries? So it's about assessing the risk present. Watch this short video. A couple of years ago, Hong Kong Airport, cargo plane was just about to load these mobile phones. They went into thermal runaway. So it's about assessing what's going into these transportation hubs, and they were, I believe, 40 mobile phones a couple of years ago, but luckily they didn't go on that plane. Segregate, separate the risk from people and combustible material. If you're storing batteries, are you storing them next to a fire exit or flammable liquids or flammable material? Or have you just dumped all the old batteries in an office where you don't know where else to put them, where people are working? Please go and look. If you've got lots of batteries, you must segregate them. And as I said, get damaged and old batteries outside into a secure container, and preferably a metal one, just to get them out of your warehouse. Tool Hire Centre in Bristol didn't segregate the risk. There's a battery been left on charge. This is Boxing Day 2022 here in the UK, down in Bristol. Look, lots of flammable liquids, lots of flammable material. The fire just spread. Watch this from their security camera. So it did burn down the warehouse, took them, I think, 8 months to fully recover, and cost them, quite a few pounds, a couple of £1 million. But segregate the risk from people and combustible material. Control, implement additional controls as you see relevant. This is the do's and don'ts. Don't leave batteries on charge overnight if you really don't have to. Get a policy in place to report damaged batteries or dropped laptops or mobiles or dropped lithium battery equipment. Better to someone say to you, look, I'm really sorry, I've dropped the lithium-ion battery for the mobile lighting. They're not saying anything at all. Put it on charge overnight, you come back, you haven't got a warehouse. So implement additional controls as you see relevant, maybe just even a little policy, especially about damaged and dropped devices. Look, watch this. Again, the do's and don'ts. Bang. Battery on charge. Bang. Don't mess about with batteries. Tiny penetration there. Look at that. And that's just from a mobile phone battery. So do's and don'ts. So hopefully you're sort of getting this mindset change. And then earlier detection. There are some great off-gas detection systems available on the market. If you're storing a lot of batteries, look at investing in an off-gas detection system, ideally for hydrogen fluoride. And there are many coming on the market now. We don't actually do them, but I speak to companies that do, and they're becoming very popular. So they're the proactive actions. Let's look at the reactive actions you can take. So this may be investing in time or a little bit of training. Now, we're not advocating people become firefighters. You know, extinguishers are there to preserve life only in an emergency, you know, to stop someone being trapped. This is a great video. Vapor cloud explosion, deflagration of a battery. So this is from my friends, the Livermore Pleasanton Fire Department in California. We work with lots of fire and rescue services. They sent me this video. So basically, they got a call from a FedEx driver. He said he just picked up a 97 kilogram EV battery module from a very well-known electric vehicle manufacturer in America, beginning with T. The owner was friends with Donald Trump for about 5 minutes. He's no longer friends with him. All right, you get the picture. It was defective. It was going back to another depot. They're going to cut a flooding hole in the side of that trailer with a circular saw just to put their fire hose through to get that medium in. What they didn't realize was a buildup of those toxic smoke and gases. You are going to see what's called a vapor cloud explosion happen, and the back door of the trailer gets blown out. So here they go. Cutting their flooding point. Bang. They turn round. And in this clip, you'll see it much clearer. So there's an ignition source. There's those build-up of those gases inside. And then as the camera turns around from the helmet, you'll see the back door of the trailer being absolutely blown out. There. Unbelievable. Luckily, no one was at the back of that trailer. Now they have got a big flooding point. But that whole trailer could have exploded outwards. Now they're going to come round to the back and you'll see that 97 kilogram battery module that had a catastrophic failure in full thermal runaway in the back of that trailer. And there's those toxic smoke gas. Need to be very careful. Now, our fire and rescue service will be tackling maybe fires like this. So it's all about awareness. That's not the way to tackle that type of fire indeed. Suppress automatic systems are becoming very popular. Unfortunately, there's no test that these could be tested under. We're hoping the testing bodies will catch up. But if you don't want to intervene, if you don't want someone to tackle a fire, but if you're storing batteries in an enclosed space, automatic systems are going to play a part. This is one, it's a dry potassium system. We're trying to get them tested under lithium-ion batteries more and more. There is no standard at the moment, but just watch how this little system works. So there's a thermocooled, burns back to the system. Now, these type of systems can only be used in an enclosed area. They will volumetrically fill an enclosed area, 10, 20, 40-foot container. There is no standard, as I said, to get them tested under a lithium-ion battery standard. We do want that to happen. But, you know, they're useful systems so that there's no human interaction with a lithium battery fire, especially in an enclosed area. Act, ensure timely use of the correct equipment. Again, we're not advocating people become firefighters, but if you're going to tackle a lithium battery fire, only if it's safe to do so, you must use the right medium. We have our Lithex extinguishers. We were the first to market. It's completely 100% UK product from the medium to the extinguishers, all made here in the UK. I'm going to share a test video we did. Now, half this crib, wooden crib, is coated with the medium we use in our Lithex extinguishers called vermiculite, aqueous vermiculite dispersion. Half of it is uncoated. Just watch how the coated side really dominates the fire. That's a big fire. I've witnessed fires like that. 4 minutes in. 6 minutes in. It's really dominating. Now, the medium really dominated. It stopped that heat propagation. And that's how it works with lithium-ion battery fires. It stops that heat propagation from cell to cell to cell. So it stops that domino effect, which is what you're going to have to do if you want to really tackle a lithium-ion battery fire. And the medium there was really dominating that crib fire. Even though it was on a wooden crib, you know, we've got tests with it on lithium-ion battery fires, small ones, up to about 600 watt-hour. So the last one, contain, allowing the battery to burn out if it's safe to do so. So you may want to just contain that fire if it's safe to do so. No intervention from humans. Blankets will play a part. They're part of a toolkit. They're not the complete answer. You know, they won't stop thermal runaway, but they will control and contain it. And that's where they become useful. So it's about maybe allowing the battery to burn out if it's safe to do so. A great video from, again, a fire rescue service in America, the Tulsa Fire and Rescue Service people, and I thank them for it. This is an EV. It's off-gassing. It's been off-gassing for quite a while, so it's not gone into thermal runaway yet. Just listen to the comms. They're allowing it to do its bit to control. They've evacuated the area. So listen to the comms.
Yeah, 22.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can see it looks like it's starting to light off.
Yeah, that's going to be the best thing for us. Get this thing completely going. Get away. Back up, please. And then just let her go. We'll just protect that exposure when it lights off, when it shoots out the side.
Yep, copy that.
Protect that exposure when it shoots off. So it's going to shoot off very soon, but they're protecting that exposure, allowing it to do its bit. So, and then I think they used a blanket and part of it and water as well. So allowing it to burn out. And with blankets, look, there is still no test for blankets to be tested under a lithium battery fire. They're part of a toolkit. They're not the complete answer, but there is a DIN specification now, 91489. Our own ones are now to that specification. It's not a standard, it's a specification. But there are some stringent tests that they have to meet, certain temperature levels that they have to withstand, all those nasty chemicals and resistance against toxic emissions. It's a step in the right direction until we can get a proper lithium-ion battery standard to get these products tested under. So you as consumers can buy in confidence that these products actually do what they say on the tin. But that's what our blankets are been tested under that specification from Germany. And then the last one, evacuation. You know, make sure you have your evacuation plan up to date, especially when we're talking about lithium-ion batteries, because they happen very quickly. People need to be aware of the signs of a lithium-ion battery fire. So please make sure you have your up-to-date evacuation plan. So that's it. I've gone through the 10 segments very quickly because, you know, I've got a few more slides and one more video, and then we're going to hand back to Steve for questions. But that's the 10-step plan. The proactive actions are time-based, and the reactive actions where you may need to train or invest in a little bit of product. But I hope you found it interesting and a nice pathway to follow to help mitigate a risk of a lithium battery fire. Fire standards. I get asked all the time about the fire standards. There currently is no recognised test standard, as I said, in the UK to get products tested under a lithium battery fire test. So blankets, containment boxes, containment bags, there is no BS standard. There's no EN standard, so we can't get them tested in Europe. There's not even a UL standard. The standards do need to catch up. We're really hoping that they will. There is an internal Dutch standard called NTA 8133. It's a very good standard, but it's for the Netherlands only. It's for lithium-ion battery extinguishers, mediums, to be tested under a 600 watt-hour pouch cell battery. They send the pouch cell into thermal runaway, and then the medium is used. Our Lithex and our competitors have put the extinguishers forward to that, and our Lithex passed, and some of our competitors passed that standard. That's the only standard I'm aware of anywhere in the world. The standards are starting to catch up, but we're still a long way off. So we do need a recognised test standard to make sure products on the marketplace meet what they say they're going to do. The metrology bill has got royal assent in Parliament. It's a really important bill. It's to make sure that the unsafe products are not being sold, and it's more designed for online traders and marketplaces. And there'll be more stringent laws for criminal sanctions, product seizures, mandatory recalls, and civil penalties and premises inspections. So it's a good step forward to make sure we're not being sold unsafe lithium-ion battery products and devices. It's a step forward, as I said, but it's got royal assent, so it's now part of law. If you're interested in learning more, we do lots of other things. We do a fully accredited CPD webinar, which is free on PFAS chemicals and AFFF. It's on the 23rd of September. So reach out to me if you would like information on that. Search me on Spotify. My kids can't believe I'm on Spotify, but yes, I am. We have our Burning Issues podcasts, and maybe we can get Steve on there as well for next season. So that would be great. And if you want us to come and talk to your organisation, as Steve and Julie have done, then you can find me at the Fire Chief Academy. And our courses are fully accredited CPD. We're trying to build a range of products to help mitigate the risk of a lithium battery fire, the small ones, the e-scooter bike size ones, you know, mobile phones, laptops. So please reach out for me. Find me on LinkedIn. So very easy to find. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can't miss me. And as I said at the beginning, it's all about a mindset change to reduce your risk. Furry friendly bed is fine, but please don't charge devices under bedding or pillows or duvets. One last video, and then I'll hand back to Steve. This is 3 minutes. I want to thank the West Midlands Fire and Rescue Service for allowing us to share this video. I want to thank the family of Natasha and Carlo. This is an edited version. It's about 3 minutes, and then I'll hand back. It just shows you that mindset change.
I've seen some bad incidents in my 21 years, but this is without doubt one of the worst I've ever seen.
When I think of Natasha and Carlo, they were always giggling, hugging each other. They had this beautiful, lovely home. Place where he passed away was where he was feeling at home.
Natasha was 27 years old when she passed away. She is the most thoughtful, caring person I've ever known. Beautiful inside and out. I would really look forward to seeing her.
I always think about a butterfly and a mouse. Natasha being beautiful butterfly.
With smoke, usually if you have a property fire, you can usually see where it is, what house it is, what flat it is. But on this occasion, we couldn't even see the houses of the street.
Crew were just finishing their startup procedure, and they were taking a hose reel and they were making entry into the property. Going in as a BA wearer, your sole task is to put that fire out and to search for anybody in the property. So whilst we were starting up, and going under air, we were told that there's a possibility of 2 people being in the property.
The intensity and the heat was very, very hot. It's one of the hottest sort of incidents I've ever been in. You could feel it in our hands, even when we were low. Everything was on fire. All the steps were on fire. All the walls were on fire. All the ceiling was on fire. All the doors were on fire.
Fire damage and flame impingement in each and every of the rooms on the first floor. When we looked into the hallway, we saw the remnants of what appeared to be a e-bike.
I can't stop for this product to be sold, but I would like everybody to know that it is happening. It takes only once he charged it overnight, and that was the night that took them away.
Got no words as to how I feel in losing Natasha's physical form, and the feelings and the memories of how she spent the last few moments of her life. There is nothing on this earth that is worth losing your family for an item that is likely to cause damage, and in this case it has been catastrophic, fatal damage. My life will just never be the same without her. That's it.
So we want to thank the family and West Midlands Fire and Rescue Service. And like I said at the beginning, it's all about a mindset change. Steve, thank you so much. I hope that's been informative. I hope it's given everyone a little bit of something to think about, and I'll hand back to you.
Well, thank you, Matt. Yes, definitely relevant, informative, and food for thought. Yeah, I think in the health and safety profession, especially around fire safety, is a big risk for us, and how we manage that. And with lithium-ion batteries, it is a very tricky topic area to know how to deal with them and how to put the correct control measures in for your particular organization. So this is really giving us some clear information and a pathway that we can follow with the 10-step battery safety plan. So thank you for sharing that. I've got four questions that have popped up in the Q&A and in the chat. So I'll try and do them in the order they were put in, but apologies if I haven't. A question from Jane. She says, is it better to recharge batteries on equipment such as forklift trucks overnight when no one is present, or during the day when people are present to take action but potentially put them in danger? So it's a good question there.
It's a brilliant question, Jane, and it's one that comes up a lot. Look, we understand that most people will charge forklift trucks overnight because they want to come back during the day if they're not working at night to a fully charged forklift truck. Ideally, try and charge them when people are around, so people can be just aware if something isn't quite right, if there's a strange smell, if there's strange noises, if there's smoke. Ideally, if you can, but if you have to charge them at night, maybe look at investing in a timer to stop them charging once they get to maybe 80%. There may be even a device on the forklift truck to stop it after 80%. It will then just stop it, no more charge to it. It's much safer than just leaving it on charge overnight. There are devices you can buy, Thermomaster, which basically will detect, any sort of early warnings of a lithium battery fire. Ideally, during the day. I know it's not ideal. You just need to be aware, and also look at where you're charging them, Jane. Are you charging them in the middle of the warehouse, or are they near an exit door? And if you are charging them, please make sure you're not charging them next to flammable liquids or material, because if people are there and the forklift does go into thermal runaway, look, if there's nothing too flammable near it, you can maybe try and do something or call the fire brigade, obviously. But ideally, you want to be around, Steve, just to monitor that charging. They're very safe. Most manufacturers have produced really, really good batteries now, but it happens.
Thank you for that, Matt. Yes, interesting question. And another one from Jane is there any HSE guidance that we should follow in relation to lithium-ion batteries? I know this is a question I get all the time. Is there any legislation, guidance, information from a reputable source at the moment? Is the law on importing batteries into the country, etc.? I don't know where we stand from a legal point of view or guidance.
There is lots of guidance. I've got lots of documents from the government about guidance. There's RC documents from the insurance sector and the Fire Protection Association. They're all guidance really, just on understanding your risks of a lithium-ion battery fire. But that's what it is at the moment, Steve. It's just guidance. Lots of documents out there. Why we've shown you the 8-step plan and the causes and reaction is none of all the guidance, it needs to come together as one chain. So we're trying to push that 10-step plan as a national way people can help mitigate the risk of a lithium battery fire. And we're talking to the insurance sector about it and the construction and the waste sector, just to try and get one a vocal point for that. But at the moment, there's only guidance. If Jane wants to send me her email, then I've got lots of documents I can send, or I can send them to you, Steve. But it's all guidance at the moment.
Oh, great. And somebody's asked as well, can the 10-step plan be emailed out, or is it available if we get in touch with you, or are you able to share that with myself and Julie that we can share out through the group? That'd be great.
100%. We can share that and take that forward. And that's why we want, because it's very visual. And it's a nice, colourful. There's not too many wording, and we like visual slides, as you've seen. So because it's much easier for people to understand and get into their head. So yes, we can do that. It's not a problem.
Excellent. Are lithium-ion fire extinguishers worth investing in, specifically alongside charging stations?
Smaller ones, you know. No lithium-ion battery portable extinguisher will put out an EV fire. We were the first to bring ours to market. They're very useful if it's safe to tackle a lithium battery fire, only if it's safe to do so, or if someone is trapped. And people have used them and they do work, but you're really talking up to 600 to 900 watt-hour battery, which aren't that big a battery, Steve. When you get to bigger battery modules like battery energy storage systems, electric vehicles, becomes very complex. You really just need to call the fire brigade. I wouldn't even attempt to tackle an EV fire. You've seen those videos. You wouldn't want to go near an EV fire with your portable extinguisher. You've got no chance.
Okay, thank you. There's 2 more questions on the queue. Oh no, we've got 7 questions in the queue. They're coming in thick and fast now. I'll try and go through them as quick as I can. So what are the best fixed fire extinguisher systems for lithium-ion battery banks for UPS?
Yeah, well, I speak to Siemens, so water mist is very popular. There are foam suppression systems, there are gaseous suppression systems, and under the NFPA regulations in America, these are being tested. Again, it's going to have to be a medium, but we still need to do lots more research, Steve, because as I said earlier on, when you put water with a lithium battery fire, that hydrogen fluoride will turn to hydrofluoric acid. So you really need to be aware when you're using wet mediums, especially in a sprinkler system, the effects that it will have on those gases and whether we want to tackle them. But water mist, I think, will be probably the most popular for maybe battery energy storage systems. But gaseous systems are coming on. We just need more testing and regulation, and that's what we need, because this is quite an early fire risk. You know, it's something that people are still learning about and how to tackle it and get mediums to dominate it. Water mist and then clean gas maybe.
Okay, thanks. Our local landfill site has experienced a number of fires linked to incorrect battery disposal. In your experience, how common are these type of fires? You mentioned that at the start, didn't you?
Massive. They've had a 93% increase in fires in the waste sector. It is the biggest cause of fires in the waste sector. I'm going to the waste recycling show this week. I'm speaking there. It's Wednesday and Thursday. We're there 2 days exhibiting. It's massive. It's causing 8 million vapes are being thrown away each week. You know, it's crazy. And this is the problem. It's more those vapes, those people throwing away mobile phones. It's the biggest cause of risk, and we know because we speak to people like Veolia. So that's why we need a national campaign. to make sure people are really aware. Don't just bin it. I know it's really easy to do. Don't forget, supermarkets or any retailer must now, by law, take back a device or something with a plug on, even if you didn't buy it from them, by law. So you can take your kettle or your old laptop back to Superdrug, and they have to, by law, take it back now under the government regulations. That's what we need, more people doing that.
Great. If using trickle charger for battery maintenance, how safe is this?
Trickle charge is probably one of the greatest defenses you can have, because it will just trickle charge. It won't overcharge a battery. They're very good, and that's what I would recommend, especially for forklift trucks. If it's overnight, just a small trickle charge, you won't get that surge in energy. But also, when you are charging things like forklift trucks, if anyone's damaged or crashed it, I know forklift trucks have got a steel cage in, but if there has been a real heavy impact, especially on the battery in maintenance or something, just make sure someone's aware. But trickle charge is great, Steve. Yeah,
Great.
good thing to do.
Is there anything being introduced into the UK building regs relating to lithium-ion battery storage and relative distance to buildings, etc.?
Not that I'm aware at the moment. And we go back to battery energy storage systems. There's no rules or regulations. You can put a battery energy storage system wherever you want. There's a huge one near me in Suffolk, 680 acres.
Wow.
There needs to be tighter regulation. They need to be talking to the fire rescue service. They need to have better access to it. There needs to be water runoff systems if a battery energy storage system fire was to occur, because these are remote places. And then by the time something's happened, the fire has already taken hold, and there'll be quite restricted access. So no, there isn't. The rules and regulations are starting to get better, Steve, but it's still just guidance at the moment. So,
Okay. And then there's what key aspects would you expect to see in a policy or communications to tenants to manage and usage and storage of lithium-ion vehicles like scooters, mobility scooters, etc., in HMO or housing associations, etc. And that's a big problem, isn't it? People put them in the stairwells and plug them in, and so.
Exactly. One of those videos earlier on, the compilation was actually a mobility scooter in Surrey, and they've allowed me to use the video. And they had a policy in place, and they kept telling the resident, don't charge, keep charging your device in the hallway, but they don't charge it in your living room. I mean, it's there.
Where do you charge them then, isn't it?
Where do you charge them? Because we know that they need them as well. You can't take them away from people because they have mobility issues. There's not one answer, Steve.
I know.
Look, if they can invest in safer charging areas, it's great.
Lockable sort of storage areas away from the building, possibly. But there's
people come back to saying, but I've got to go all the way to charge it, and I've got mobility issues. Look, it's just a bit more about awareness and education. It's such a. I get asked that all the time about HMOs. I mean, it's really education on lithium-ion battery risks and to be aware of them. E-mobility scooters are very safe, but a lot of it will come down to if someone's really damaged or constantly leaving them on charge. I'd go back to making sure people don't constantly leave them on charge and inspect them and don't damage them. And that's all really you can do. There's no one answer at the moment, Steve. I'd love there to be.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm just conscious of time. It's 2:00 now. I mean, we'll run over a few minutes just to get some of these questions answered because they're really important. Alan has got a verbal question he'd like to ask you. So Julie's going to unmute him. So Alan, can you ask your question when you get unmuted? Julie, have you managed to unmute Alan?
I have. I've asked Alan to unmute. He needs to do that himself, on the microphone button.
I can see his hand, unless he types it in.
Okay. Well, we'll move on.
He may have pressed it by accident. It's easily done. So
it's all right. We'll carry on with another question until Alan can come online, and then we'll jump over to Alan then. There's a couple more questions. Just, is there any templates available to use when conducting an assessment of battery use or storage? And is there a safe way to dispose of the batteries? So there's the questions.
Safe way to dispose of batteries. Look, if you've got lots of batteries, the recycling sector are really gearing up to getting more and more aware of to properly recycle batteries, because they've got valuable chemicals and materials in them that we could use again. So go to a local one, or someone like Biffa or Veolia, who will have sections now to recycle lithium-ion batteries. And I think he mentioned about storage. Did he? Sorry, Steve, in the first
Sorry,
question.
yeah, it was the question was what fire extinguishers would be best for initial knockdown and B control?
Yeah,
What CO2, would CO2 and foam be?
CO2, no. Foam, no. Foam won't survive the high temperatures. CO2, absolutely ineffective. Dry powder, absolutely ineffective. Invest in a lithium-ion battery fire extinguisher, ideally Lithex, but I'm not, it's a UK-based product. It's got that vermiculite in it, so it's a natural mineral. There are some very good ones on the marketplace. Look, if you're going to invest in one, make sure it's to a standard NTA 8133. That's the Dutch standard. It's a really good standard. I've got the video of the test. It's quite a stringent test. 600 watt-hour battery, no reignition for 20 minutes, used all the medium. So invest in a product that's got NTA 8133, at least, as a minimum. Up to 600 watt-hour, but just be mindful of those gases if you're going to tackle it.
Great, thank you for that. And one other question then, I think, see if Alan, is he still online? Can he get on? Is he going to type his question in, or is he going to speak? If not, I think that was it. I think we'll ask Julie or yourself, Matt, whether Julie's got any questions, or whether you can, if you're happy to share what you can share with Julie. Julie trying to arrange to get that out to the audience who are on the call today. So a lot of people are asking for bits and bobs of your presentation and things like that. So if you are able to share some of it, that would be fantastic. But I'll speak to Julie about that, and for the remaining audience about that.
And thank everyone, Steve. I don't know how many came on, but I really thank everyone.
Steve, apologies. Georgina's saying we missed the battery assessment template question.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I got it here. Are there any templates available when conducting assessments of battery use / storage?
No, no, there isn't.
You've got to make your own ones up,
You've got to make your own ones up. So use that 10-step plan. Look, the biggest one is the control, the do's and don'ts. Make sure damaged or reported batteries are reported to someone. Don't allow people to constantly leave devices on charge overnight. Get that reporting policy in place. And if you've got batteries, if they're old ones just sitting in the warehouse, get them out. You don't need them in there, Steve. Let's get them out. Put them in a secure area.
Just to add, there is a subgroup on lithium battery safety in Wales, where we try and get like-minded people who are struggling with the same sort of questions and queries. We do try and share any documentation that somebody's created and they're willing for people to plagiarize and tweak for their organization. We are trying to help each other in those sort of areas with paperwork and forms and things, because it's, like I said, there is no hard and fast guidance documentation. So we are trying to help each other in the industry. Another one asking, could they share the slides if possible? Thanks. Yeah, we mentioned that. We're going to try and do that. Lithium-ion battery extinguishers worth investing in. Yeah, we mentioned that one. We covered that one off. I think that was it, to be honest. So thank you all very much for joining us this afternoon on the presentation. I know some have gone already. There's still 70 on the call at the moment. So thank you very, very much for attending today. Hope you got something really valuable from it. And thank you, Matt, for sharing your experiences. And it's a very topical, relevant issue at the moment across not just the UK but the world. We do need that legislation, don't we, from government to monitor the import of suspicious or cheaply made products coming into the UK, and that's causing a lot of these fires. But as a safety professional, we do try and what you said there, assess what we've got and put the relevant documentation in, and sharing that is the best way to manage it at the moment. So we've got some sort of means of tackling it. But thank you very much. Lots of very positive comments coming back for you, Matt, on the great presentation. Cheers for the info. Excellent. Thank you. So lots of excellent presentation. Yeah, loads of really positive stuff on here.
Thank you so much.
We will share what we can with the group, and thank you all for attending, and we shall catch up with everybody soon. So thank you all. Take care.